And we're live.
What an incredible week to be in Kansas City for these two very special people and the Kansas City Royals.
Stick up for the Royals.
Hot soup. Hot soup.
Taylor, Kansas City Royals are a Major League Baseball team. They're actually playing in the World Series, which is the championship for baseball in the entire world.
Yeah, sorry everyone, my brother here, he has the sports knowledge of a newborn baby. And a newborn baby who hates sports.
The poor guy's been walking around the city all week, wondering what everyone's talking about with the Royals. He's asking me questions when I first got here, like why are the fountains all blue?
Good evening. I'm Taylor's brother, Richard.
And I'm Taylor's longtime friend and brother-in-law, once removed, Jack.
I think we'd first like to thank Suzanne and Ken, as well as my parents, Lynn and Richard, for this already incredible weekend of festivities. We'd also like to thank everyone here who has made trips from both near and far to celebrate these two very special people. I can already tell that this band is absolutely going to crush it. One of Taylor's main responsibilities for this weekend was the band.
Yeah.
So much so that he traveled to Dallas. I believe it was Dallas, or somewhere in Texas, to see them play live.
I guess the internet in the city was broken that night. So
The internet was broken that day.
So he didn't go to a wedding, or he didn't go to some certain function to see them play live. No, he went to a bone marrow concert. It was a conference. It was all doctors. So there's Taylor, standing next to a doctor, watching a band play. Doctor turns to him and says, "What's your practice?" His response was, I actually trade distressed credit. I'm here to see the band.
It's been an amazing week. Richard and I couldn't be more excited to be up here in honor of Taylor and Jamie to talk to you guys today.
For everyone who knows Taylor, you will also know that his real name is actually Panda. I mean, it was Panda that looked exactly like him. It usually takes me a second to gather myself when I need to introduce him to someone new. Although, if they didn't like the fact that his name was Panda, that introduction would probably be a goodbye.
What can I say? The nickname became about after college. Taylor and I were living together. The big guy was working long hours and even longer nights out, and his pale skin started to form some dark circles underneath his eyes. What can I say? Gained a few pounds and he looked a little bit like a kid. From the time we were little kids, Taylor's always lived each day to the beat of his own drum. However, the thumping of Taylor's drum happens to beat faster and more aggressively than most other human beings. When we were in elementary school at lunchtime in Murray Avenue, rather than eating lunch in the cafeteria with the rest of us, Taylor would sprint home to Lynn and Dick's house for one of her famous peanut butter and lettuce sandwiches. And he would sprint back to school and try to play football with us in the playground. By the time he got back, we always told him the game was locked. The truth is, we just didn't want Taylor playing because he was faster than the rest of us. Every time he touched the ball, he'd run for a touchdown. So it became no fun for the rest of the guys. That's probably part of the reason why, at the age of 11, he set the Murray Avenue school record for a sub-6-minute mile. Even at a young age, he had the determination and will to be better than everybody else.
Now, if you fast forward a number of years into college, and you enter one of Panda's BC dorm rooms, you might find a number of things very interesting. First of all, with 8 roommates, you would see a jacuzzi in the center of the living room. 7 of his roommates would probably be around there, and on occasion, maybe you might find Panda there as well, but you might also find Panda in a walk-in closet that he had converted into a private panic room/study to get his work done. Now living in Manhattan with Jamie. Both Taylor and Jamie are two very independent people. For Jamie, she always loves the girls' night out into town, which on occasion can leave Panda on his own. Most guys that are in that situation would call up their friends to catch up on, whatever game might be on that night. Not Panda. The big guy who loves his Nobu sushi. And on nights such as this one, you might find him posted up at the sushi bar. However, it would be a party of one with an order and a bill that would be for a party of 6. Depending on the night, that sushi may go down alongside enough dirty martinis to drown a water buffalo.
A few years back, Taylor left the computer on in the apartment, and I actually caught a glimpse of an Amex spending breakdown statement, like a pie chart. No good party of one was actually his second biggest expense. His first biggest expense was rent. For an Irish guy who pretended to be an Irish Catholic during college at Boston College, he certainly has a sushi problem.
Now, the three of us have quite a unique relationship. You know, Jack and Panda grew up best friends. I grew up with Panda as a brother. I then became friends with Jack. I then married Jack's wife's sister. Jack and I are family and friends. Panda and Jack are just friends.
Woo! That's Molay!
Now, while growing up with Taylor, he was always setting the bar incredibly high in pretty much everything he did. So much so that I often look for ways to follow in his paw prints. I would watch the way he shot a hockey puck and also the way he would talk to the neighborhood girls. One night at around the age of 8, our parents, allowed Taylor to have one girl over to watch The Terminator. Yes, we have awesome parents. Anyways, in an attempt to watch everything that he did in life. I know this.
Yes, he was 8.
I stashed a briefcase-sized video camera and a planter overlooking the couch where he was having this little dinner. Unfortunately for me, he caught me taking it down the next morning, and he really let my arm know how upset he was. After countless nights and years of our moms singing the same line, "Dad, the boys are fighting again," Taylor and I became pretty much best friends. Towards the end of high school, we decided to go back to our roots and share a room on the 3rd floor of our house. Late nights of Tiger Woods golf and Grand Theft Auto consumed almost every summer night. I hope Jamie and my wife Stephanie don't mind the fact that I have zero interest in moving out of the 3rd floor. Can't wait for all holidays. But in all honesty, Taylor, I can say that any compliments I have personally received, all the way from either my work ethic on the ice in college or general determination to exceed expectations, all of these are just really a reflection of the lessons I've learned from you. In all big decisions I make, the first thing I think of is, what would Panda do?
One summer, I remember coming back from college, Taylor and I were excited about a lot of things. We were 20 years old, the entire summer ahead of us, but the one thing we were most excited about was very obvious. We could not wait to drive 1.5 hours north to Millbrook School to pick up Richard and bring him home for summer. I think thinking back now, that's the moment in time where I realized that Richard was no longer Taylor's little brother, but he was our best friend. Eventually, Taylor and I moved into a one-bedroom apartment on McDougal Street. It was about the size of the table that we're sitting at right now. Only a year later to find a better apartment, which Taylor and Jamie still live in today, 31 Redmond Street. Richard was living in the city at the time as well, although he was on the Upper East Side. He might as well have lived in New Haven, he was so far away. Eventually, the apartment next door opened up, and it didn't take much convincing for us to get Richard downtown, to live next door. By moving next door, 2 things were accomplished. 1, we had Richard as a neighbor, and 2, we finally got Hose Murphy, one of Taylor's friends from Boston College, off of our couch, which he had been living on for the last 18 months.
31 Redwood was honestly like an all-male version of the sitcom Friends. We had laminated cement floors, you could spill anything you wanted and cover it with newspaper. Anyone who came over would always take notice of how close we all were. If you went into Taylor and Jack's apartment, based on the artwork up on the walls, you might think that they were a little closer than this.
Well, that's not exactly true. Everybody knows Lily is a fantastic artist. And one December we went home for Taylor's birthday dinner at the Leahy compound in Larchmont. And while Taylor was opening gifts, nobody could help but notice there was a large gift in the corner of the room covered by a blanket. When this gift was unveiled, it was a life-size oil painting of Taylor and I skating up the ice, gallivanting in our college hockey outfits. It was a beautiful painting, and it was drawn to scale. But the first words out of the Panda's mouth in true Taylor fashion were, "Any way we can make this any smaller?" But the painting became a proud centerpiece of the apartment. And it became probably the most talked about piece of artwork in Lower Manhattan.
True. Yeah.
Now, Jamie. Jamie, you must know by now that in the very early stages of your relationship with my brother, there was actually some speculation that you might not exist.
Ghost.
You were, in effect, a unicorn. If that story about the pearls is true, you know, that might actually be true. You're a mythical girl, or you were a mythical girl, who always seemed to become a major topic at 31 Brentwood. I actually never knew your name because Taylor referred to you simply as Toronto. This was the obvious reference to the city in which you were living at the time. One winter night, several years back, a few of us guys made it down to an outdoor hockey tournament in New Jersey. Now this was the guys' heaven. It was at a golf course, it was an outdoor hockey rink, they had fire pits, a DJ, transfusions, and then more transfusions. Taylor made us leave early that night. That night, he was driving us home, and he quietly let us know that this girl, Toronto, was in the city, that we had to get home immediately. Get home immediately we did, and I'm sure we did in record fashion. Later that night, we made it back to the city, and Jamie turned him down. It was in his face. So we did what we typically did when we were by ourselves. We went to Emerald Pub and helped him drown his sorrows with some Jameson. Luckily, Jamie, you finally gave the big guy a shot. And you went from being Toronto to JFAB to Jamie, and in the meantime, to a friend, a neighbor, and now a sister. We're going to need you to work on your Boston accent. I try and fit it as best I can. My dad's is original, but only when he gets mad.
But Jamie, we really want to thank you because you've improved Taylor in countless ways. But by marrying Taylor, you've also committed to taking over a number of responsibilities that formerly belonged to Richard and me. First of which is waking him up. Before I left for work every day while living with Taylor, I was always faced with this daunting task. When waking him up out of a deep sleep, oftentimes you're met with a terrified look on his face and a cocked-back fist ready to punch you. Cat. Especially after drinking. It was so bad at times when we got him 4 alarm clocks to wake him up in the morning. Richard, leaving for work frequently, would just hear these things blasting off all over the apartment. So Jamie, thank you for taking this responsibility. We suggest from here on out, when you wake the big